As a wedding or event professional, you are probably spending a good deal of time thinking about marketing and how to connect up with your ideal client, as well as connecting up with other wedding and event professionals. Now, a new platform has come on the market recently called Clubhouse, which has gained a lot of attention. And in this video today, we are going to be diving into what is Clubhouse, how to use it, the upsides, the downsides, and some really cool ways that you can actually use it to grow your brand and grow your influence and reach with your company. For any of you who haven't used Clubhouse already, or if you have an Android phone, you may not be familiar with what Clubhouse is. And so I want to jump right in to explaining what Clubhouse is, how it's used, and then we'll dive into some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages, and other things. But to just get started right away, if you haven't used Clubhouse before, Clubhouse is an audio-first social media platform. You can kind of liken it to like a live podcast or a panel or something like that, where there are moderators, there are people, but it is in this virtual setting. It's this virtual room on this app that you download, and you go and enter these rooms where a audio only discussion is going on. So there's no video component, which is great for some of us who, don't want to do our hair, or, for anyone putting on makeup or anything like that. You don't have to do any of that. It is an audio only platform, and there are discussions that are happening around different topics. So once you go on the app, you'll be able to see, there are these different groups you can join, there are these different clubs, and then there's this, what's called the hallway. And the hallway is where you can see all of the friends that are online. You can see the different clubs that you may decide to join. And there is also a search function that allows you to search for different topics. Maybe it's spirituality, religion, music, art. There's all sorts of different topics that have these Clubhouse rooms. So again, it is this platform where people go and chat and talk about different topics. Now, the reason that it's had incredible growth and really spectacular growth of the app and users of the app is because it is a place where you can connect up with a lot of people that you normally wouldn't be able to connect up with. You could go into a room with, someone who has maybe 1 million followers on Instagram who may only have 100 or 200 followers on Clubhouse, and you can get in a room with them and ask them questions. And so it really gives this incredible access to a lot of people that have spent incredible amounts of time growing their social media presence on other platforms, but want to be early adopters. So that's one of the first things right away that I see as a huge advantage for Clubhouse. Another reason why it's amazing and why I recommend using it is that it allows you access to an entire network and community of people specifically in your niche. So the wonderful thing is, by using the search tool, you can actually go in and figure out exactly what you want to learn about, know about the community that you want to be a part of. And for us wedding and event professionals, we're talking all about everything to do with maybe venues, right? Coordination, photography, all these different topics that are stuff that we work on every single day. And so it's a great opportunity for you, if you have experience in this industry, to provide value and to give to the community by answering questions. And then if you're a novice and you're just getting started, it's a great place to go learn from people that you normally wouldn't be able to ask questions. So that's another reason that I really think that this app is amazing and super, super helpful for folks. I know I've gone in rooms myself and, engaged with people who have so much experience, and I can ask those questions and kind of get immediate feedback from not only the moderators in the room, but other people that are brought up on what's called the stage. So, the format of the app, as you see when you download it, you enter the audience, and then you can actually raise your hand by pressing a button. The moderators can bring you up on the stage, and then you can ask your question and enable your microphone to be able to talk. So it is a really, really cool system that they have set up. There are, however, a couple of downsides. The number one downside, and I think this is something that you're going to hear from everyone, and I think there is a solution to it, but it's a tough one to overcome, is it does take a lot of time. Now, we know that social media and marketing and putting yourself out there does take time. It does take intention, attention. It does take effort. But for this app specifically, it will take up so much time. And you'll know from anyone who's on Clubhouse, or if you're on Clubhouse yourself, you know how much time it actually takes up. And there are some good and bad parts to this. The good parts are, you are actually learning quite a bit, when you're in the rooms. The downside of this is, if you have a family, if you have multiple things going on, maybe you're receiving a lot of calls on your phone, every time your phone rings, actually they just released an update that there will be a little phone symbol over your profile picture. So people know you're getting a call, and your profile picture will actually have that little sign indicating that you're getting a phone call. So your microphone will be temporarily muted. Yeah, if you're super busy, if you've got a lot of things going on, if you can't spend hours and hours on this platform, really your reach and your capability of growth is going to be fairly limited. And that is for one specific reason. And this is the other thing that I don't really like about Clubhouse. The Clubhouse app, because it is all live content, it is all live audio content, and specifically they don't allow any recording of what's going on in the app itself, there's no possibility for evergreen content creation. Now, what do I mean by evergreen content creation? Evergreen content is that content that you would put on maybe your feed, on Instagram, on a YouTube page, on LinkedIn, that is available for people to go back and look at. So for example, you would post an article maybe about something, maybe post a link to a blog, maybe you'd post a picture of something that you were doing, right? And people would be able to go back a couple weeks and see that. With Clubhouse, you aren't able to do that. So everything is live. If you aren't there, you completely miss it. So there is a little bit of that excitement about, like you want to be there, and there is that, it basically makes the information and the times, the little meetups that happen valuable. But at the same time, if you're ever trying to go back and reference something that was talked about, there's absolutely no way to do that. So that I definitely see as a downside. The other part of that that's really a struggle for me is I know when I'm listening to people on Clubhouse, a lot of times I'm taking notes, maybe I'm taking notes on my phone, or maybe I'm taking notes on the computer. And as I'm getting all this knowledge and information, there are times that I miss things, right? There are, links or different things that I miss, and I wish I could go back and listen to them again, or I wish I could go back and kind of like reconsume the content. It's a little bit different than podcasts where you can go rewind the podcast. This is all live. So once it's said, it's gone, it's out in the world. And, there have been some clubs within Clubhouse that there are people who will transpose the specific room, what happens in the room, and then you can go onto a website or something like that and get that information off. So there's certainly a lot of ways to monetize it, but again, just for the average user, there aren't that many ways to go back and review what was said. So I don't love it for that reason. The last disadvantage before we go on to how to correctly use it as a wedding professional is that there isn't any messaging feature on the platform itself. And this is a disadvantage in my opinion because you actually end up needing to go to someone's bio. So let's say you're listening to a speaker. You're listening to some of the incredible speakers that we've actually connected with on Clubhouse and brought over to our YouTube show and interviewed them on the channel. So definitely check those out if you haven't. But this is the way that we've had to do it. We listen to somebody, Gabby Pinkerton, for example. We were talking to her about Pinterest. I listened to her. I loved her perspective. She has so much knowledge and advice on Pinterest. And so I went over and I had to go to her bio. I had to go look on her Instagram, click over to Instagram or click over to Twitter, and then DM her and send her a message over there. So there certainly have been cases where people don't have Instagram or don't have Twitter who are talking, and then you're kind of stuck. There's no way to connect with them after the fact. The other thing that I don't like about this is, you have to go off of the platform, and sometimes, at least for me, I'll get distracted and, start doing something else. And so it would be great if it did have a messaging feature built into it. I know they're doing a ton of releases, but, there's nothing so far that's like that on the app. And the last most important thing I think for so many of us out there that doesn't really affect me is this app is only for iPhone. So if you're on an Android phone, you're completely out of luck. Unfortunately, I do believe you can access it through an iPad, but I know many Android users who are not using Apple devices for their other tablets and other things as well. So if you're on the Android platform, you are out of luck. Hopefully they are going to be releasing something about that later on, but no support for Android users right now. Now let's switch over to why it's incredible and why as a wedding professional you can actually use it to network and learn. So for me, I love using it because we have this podcast, we interview guests all the time, we are this hub for curating knowledge, and we're putting things out on the podcast side as well as YouTube. I love being able to interface with the rest of this community nationwide and really around the world. And so for me, it's a huge place to go find guests, to interface with people. And if you are a wedding professional and you have a blog or you have a podcast podcast, you have a YouTube channel, this is a wonderful place to connect with wedding professionals who have a service or a product or something, maybe they have a coaching course, coaching program, and that's a really wonderful place to find these people and connect up with them in a way that maybe wouldn't be possible or as easy on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, some of those other places. The other incredible thing is if you are a wedding professional and you do have coaching materials, you do have a product or service that you sell that's available that you can sell online, this is a wonderful place to advertise it. And you will do that not directly, not just by saying, hey, buy my stuff, go to my profile, buy my stuff, but you'll do it by providing a lot of value, showing your expertise in the area to the people in the room, and then providing links and kind of a direction for people to go once they hit your bio and once they go over to your Instagram. So it is very important to know that if you're going to be using Clubhouse, you should take some time and set up your Instagram correctly so that it can support people who are coming over and checking out your Instagram profile from the Clubhouse app. Some other tips on how to best use this platform. I find to solve the whole timing issue, it's best to have a plan. And what I mean by plan is giving yourself some allotted time and a strategy for how you're actually going to be able to use the app itself. A lot of times there are different clubs, and I highly recommend you check out some different clubs. You could do that by going to the search feature. Just type in, wedding. You can type in wedding or wedding photography or wedding planning, wedding coordination, keywords like this, maybe even wedding venues, right? And then you can find clubs that are associated with that. Once you join the club, you will be alerted to when those clubs are active, when there are rooms going on the topics that you want to talk about. The other wonderful, easy way to do this is to actually host a room yourself. So if you are knowledgeable in some area in the wedding or event space, whether it's sales, marketing, SEO, whatever it is, right? You can actually go connect up with some other people, bring them in the room, ask them to bring some of their friends in the room, and all of a sudden you have this room that is discussing something that's important, that is educational for our industry. So that's a wonderful way to kind of control the timing of when you do it, is to set your own time, right? And then also to be able to add value, participate, and grow your following on that platform. The other interesting thing and something worth noting, worth considering is because it is an app that's available all over the world, you might have people regularly who are tuning in from the East Coast, several hours different. If you're here on the West Coast like I am, you might have some people around the world. So the timing is going to be pretty crazy, and there are pros and cons to that, right? Of course, there is a pro that you can log on at night, maybe when you put your kids down, or you can fit things in. But the other part of this is a lot of times maybe clubs are going to be going on when you aren't up yet. For example, if it's a morning club, and you're here on the West Coast 3 hours earlier than the East Coast, you're going to have some of those scheduling differences. So just kind of figuring that out, giving yourself a pace and a cadence. It's so easy to get lost in this app, and unless you have a clear direction of how you're directing clients and people, it can be a huge time waste. The last tip that I'll leave you with for using this platform is contribute. I want to say this, I really want to encourage you, if you have used Clubhouse at all and you've been in the audience, take some time before you jump into a room, or maybe as you're in the room, you're listening to everything that's going on. Take some time and just write down a question. Really listen to what other people are saying. Don't be rude. Don't just be trying to pitch whatever you do, but take some time, think of some thoughtful questions, and go in the room and ask those thoughtful questions. And not only will you get your question answered, it's a great way to kind of crowdsource some of these responses for your specific industry, but it's also a wonderful way to kind of pull some new content out of the discussion. And really, for me, questions are the unlock for everything on the podcast and everything else we do. So I hope this has provided a little bit of value for you, as you're considering using Clubhouse, or if you're thinking about incorporating it into the stack of apps that you use. Definitely let me know. If you are on Clubhouse, definitely search my name, Jonathan Amen. You can see I'm part of a couple of different wedding clubs, and it's been really fun connecting up with people on there. So connect with me on Clubhouse, Jonathan Amen, like I said, and let me know in the comments if you've done that, and then I can go over and follow you as well. All right, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. We will see you in the next episode.